when you compare our marine and coastal environment with other sort of major capital cities around Australia, we are streaks ahead as it is. You know, we have a lot of biodiversity still intact over here.
That tracker did not lie. One small device kept a log until the numbers spoke loudly. A sudden deep dive, then a strange spike in heat, then a path that looked like a body moving on the waves. Scientists looked at it and started doing deep research. Now we follow the tag, the people who studied it, the ideas they offered, and the viral twist that reopened the mystery. The tag that told a secret. In November 2003, filmmaker David Riggs joined a research team near Bremer Bay in southern Western Australia. The area is known for large predators and its deep channels. David Riggs filmed a female great white shark about 3 meters long. The team fitted her with a satellite tag that recorded depth and temperature as the shark moved. 87 days later, a beachgoer found that tag on shore. The location was about 2.5 miles from where the device had been attached. David Riggs and the researchers opened the stored data. They found an abrupt and odd pattern. The tag recorded a deep dive to 1,900 feet, which is roughly 580 meters. Immediately after that dive, the tag showed a sharp rise in temperature. The reading jumped from about 8 degrees Celsius to near 26 degrees Celsius. The tag stayed at that higher reading for several days while it moved. The sequence read like a short report in numbers. First a long dive, then an abrupt warm period, then movement that matched a body at sea. The tag moved between the surface and shallower depths during the warm period. That pattern suggested the device had left open water and entered something warmer that could float and sink. Those facts alone could not show the accurate information that was needed. However, they did show that an unusual event had occurred. David Riggs felt the data as a concrete trace. He had filmed the shark when it was tagged, and he had followed the project for months. Seeing those numbers made him seek more information by doing more research. The research team and documentary crews discussed the record. The Smithsonian Channel later told the story in a short program. National Geographic and other outlets summarized the same data for people. The story later spread quickly like wildfire and became the talk of the town. Researchers compared the tag data to known predator behavior. Very large sharks sometimes eat smaller sharks. Orcas have been known to attack white sharks in other parts of the world and to target organs such as the liver. Deep-sea scavengers also visit carcasses, but their body temperatures are never so high. The tag points most cleanly to a warm body that could move and survive at sea. That fact narrowed the list of likely predators. The team also reviewed all existing information on similar cases to help them tackle this mystery that was before them. They asked boaters, fishers, and park staff if anyone had seen unusual whale or orca activity in the weeks after the tag stopped transmitting. They checked records for reports of giant sharks in the area. Southern Australian waters host many predators, and Bremer Bay sits near a known feeding ground. The group kept the tag data intact and preserved the device for further study. In public talks, the event became a short riddle. Headlines named a mystery predator. Scientists did not have a body, and they did not have tissue samples. They had a timeline and a set of sensor readings. The sensor story was reasonable and strong enough to start a search. It pushed researchers toward fieldwork and to re-examine what top predators in those waters could do. The tag had not told a full story, but it had given a clear direction for inquiry. From that moment, the case moved slowly into films and interviews. David Riggs spoke in public about how the numbers felt like a witness. Other scientists also shared their thoughts and offered alternate views. The tag remained a single, stubborn piece of evidence that kept the mystery alive. It was data that could be read, discussed, and argued, and it would later connect to other findings about orca behavior and shark biology that would change how people saw the sea. The event also inspired more tagging and more watching because scientists wanted to know if this was rare or a sign of a broader pattern. The tag had become a prompt for new fieldwork and many questions, but the real tension came from what the tag refused to reveal. Numbers told a story, but not the ending. Something powerful, precise, and unseen was at play. What creature could silence a great white so completely? Who can overpower a great white? The tag raised a serious question. What could take a 3-meter great white? Scientists and reporters offered a short list of likely predators. Each idea has evidence and limits. Here are the main options and the reasons people give for each. First, the idea of a larger great white shark. Great white sharks can grow large and eat other sharks. Some researchers pointed out that a bigger shark could have attacked and swallowed the smaller female. The tag pattern could match such a strike and swallowing. Supporters of this idea suggest that a large white shark might bite and carry the smaller one into its mouth, where the tag would read higher heat. That idea fits the warm reading and the movement at sea. However, the great white shark theory faces some questions. Adult great white sharks are not often recorded swallowing other large sharks whole. When big white sharks eat other animals, they usually leave visible wounds or carry their prey to the surface before feeding on them. No one reported a giant white shark in the area at that time. The lack of a recovered carcass or clear sightings left room for other thoughts. Second, the killer shark. Orcas are powerful and smart hunters. In recent years, scientists have documented orcas attacking white sharks in some regions. Reports and footage from South Africa show orcas taking white sharks and often removing the liver, a rich and fatty organ. Research in Australia also produced genetic evidence in 2024 and 2025 linking orcas to the removal of shark livers in at least one case. Orcas have body heat that is much warmer than seawater. If an orca swallowed a shark or carried parts of a shark, a tag could record a warm reading. Killer whales also show targeted tactics. In Cape Town, researchers have recorded orcas that hunt sharks specifically for their livers. Videos from recent years show orcas pulling sharks apart and carrying parts to the surface. These attacks can be fast and deadly. That behavior makes orcas a strong candidate for events that leave a warm and moving tag record. Third, a deep-sea predator or scavenger. Some scientists have suggested that giant deep-sea animals or strange encounters might account for the data. The deep ocean hosts creatures that feed on large carcasses, but most of those animals are cold-blooded and do not provide a constant warm temperature. A deep-sea scavenger could drag a carcass to different depths, but the temperature jump recorded in the tag argued for a warm-bodied animal rather than a cold one. Fourth, unusual scavenging by multiple animals. A combination of bites from larger sharks and follow-up by other predators could create a confusing signal. For example, a large shark could bite and injure its target, and then orcas or seven-gill sharks might feed on it later. That chain of events can leave mixed signals in time series data. Some scientists consider mixed scenarios when existing ones do not match everything. Next, we have the rare ideas. Some articles and commentators floated stranger options. These range from giant, unknown predators to speculative ancient holdovers. Those ideas have little physical evidence and often rely on the mystery tone. Scientists treat those options as low probability because they do not match known biology, and because there is no physical trace beyond the tag numbers. Finally, the case for orcas gained strength in later years because of real-world evidence. Starting in 2017 and moving through 2023 and 2024, scientists recorded orcas in South African and Australian waters that took or damaged white sharks. In some cases, researchers recovered tissue that contained orca DNA from shark bite wounds. In early 2025, a published study used genetic tests to confirm orca predation on a great white that washed ashore in Victoria, Australia. Missing key organs, including the liver. Notable orcas have their names in reports, such as Starboard, which featured in filmed attacks. Scientists point out that orcas may target the shark liver because it is rich in oils they need. That habit makes orcas a candidate when a tag shows warmth and movement consistent with a large, warm hunter and evidence. Even so, neither the large white shark theory nor the orca theory can be proven for the 2003 tag without a recovered carcass or an image of the event. The tag tells a short story of depth and heat. It supports some ideas more than others. Scientists use those signals to set priorities for fieldwork, for more tagging, and for careful watching of the feeding grounds. The tag record moved the matter into careful study instead of leaving it as rumor. Each option has a logic and a weakness. That mix of evidence and doubt is common in field research. The tag gave a clear data pattern. How people read that pattern depended on their knowledge of predator habits and on later findings from other cases. Over time, new evidence pushed the orca idea into view, while the great white shark idea kept its place as a plausible option where sightings of very large sharks occur. But the real question was this: if the tag story leaned closer to an orca than a shark, what hidden predator behaviors were unfolding beneath the surface? And what secret did they reveal? How scientists followed leads. The next steps after the tag recovery were simple work. Scientists and documentary makers laid out the numbers and asked what each reading could mean. David Riggs shared his footage and his research findings. His role as the filmmaker who had been on the boat made his account important. Producers from the Smithsonian Channel reviewed the logs. Reporters at National Geographic and other outlets asked the same questions the public asked: who could do this, and how would we know? Researchers looked closely at the time series from the tag. They examined the depth trace, the heat profile, and the movement after the warm period. The depth moved from deep water up to near the surface several times while the temperature stayed high. That pattern is not normal for a shark. It matched better with an animal that can hold heat inside its body and that can move itself through the water column while carrying something in its mouth or stomach. Lab technicians also discussed what the temperature spike meant. Seawater holds a certain range of temperatures for a given depth. An abrupt jump to near body temperature suggested the tag was inside an animal with warm blood. That reading lasted for 8 days in the logged data. For many marine mammals, internal temperatures are higher than the surrounding water and can remain steady while the animal moves. The team used those basic facts to narrow their focus. Fieldwork followed. They increased tagging in nearby areas and asked for reports from fishermen and whale watchers. They searched for signs of large sharks or for orca groups that might visit those channels. The idea was to catch more events on camera or to find a carcass that could be tested. Scientists also collected reports from other regions where orcas had been seen attacking sharks. That comparative information helped place the Bremer Bay record in a wider context. Specialists considered the possibilities with caution. They reviewed known cases of orcas attacking white sharks off South Africa and noted how those attacks often left clear wounds and missing livers. They also reviewed cases where large sharks feed on smaller individuals. Each specialist made a list of expected signs. For orca attacks, those signs might include bite marks on bones, torn tissues, and patterns of organ removal. For shark cannibalism, the signs might include bite scars and partial remains on bones. Documentary makers used the same evidence to build a story. David Riggs described the day of tagging in several interviews and showed footage of the shark being fitted with the satellite device. He told how the team waited and how the discovery of the washed-up tag became a moment of shock. The Smithsonian short used that human element to explain the data. That coverage helped put scientific data into a story that viewers could follow easily. As more cases of orca attacks on white sharks appeared in later years, scientists returned to the 2003 tag with a different view. New genetic studies and observed attacks in South Africa and Australia gave researchers comparison points. When a shark washed ashore in Victoria in 2023 with its liver missing, researchers used DNA from bite wounds and confirmed orca involvement in a study published in Ecology and Evolution in early 2025. Those later results made the orca scenario for the 2003 tag more plausible in many researchers' views. Despite that, researchers stressed the need for more data. A tag shows patterns, not proof. That lesson drove new tagging efforts, broader surveys, and more attention to orca movements. Scientists also refined the questions they asked when tags returned strange numbers. In this case, the tag had sparked a long chain of study. It pushed watchful eyes into the water and helped shape later research about who eats whom in the ocean. Local fishers, tour guides, and scientists also played a role by reporting odd sightings and by sharing different images. Their research, combined with lab tests and DNA swabs, created a fuller picture over time. The 2003 tag case became an example of how data can lead to wider studies when many people join hands. But if scattered reports and DNA tests hinted at something bigger, what about the evidence that came later? Could orcas be rewriting the entire story of sharks and the sea itself? Fresh orca findings that matter. In the last decade, researchers recorded more attacks by orcas on white sharks, and those events changed how people interacted with older mysteries like the Bremer Bay tag. In South Africa, a video from the year 2023 showed an orca take a white shark and remove its liver. Scientists used that footage to compare with other reports where sharks washed ashore missing organs. In Australia, a large white shark washed up on a beach in October 2023 with its midsection removed. Researchers collected tissue swabs from the bite wounds. In early 2025, labs used DNA tests on those samples and found the killer whale DNA in the wounds. Those results were published and reported widely. The new genetic data gave direct proof that orcas had preyed on a great white shark in Australian waters. Scientists highlight two facts that matter. Orcas have internal warmth and can carry their prey in ways that would make a tag show warm readings. Orcas also target organs like the liver because those organs are rich in oils. Both points fit the pattern seen in the 2003 tag, which suggested their warmth, manner of movement, and later, a tag washing ashore. The Australian findings built on earlier work in South Africa, where researchers reported groups of orcas that learnt to hunt sharks and remove livers. Those hunting tactics changed, and sharks chose to swim near shore. The behaviour affected local food chains and showed that orca predation on sharks is a real and repeated event in some regions. While the new evidence increases the plausibility of orca attacks, it does not prove the exact cause of the 2003 event. The old tag cannot produce DNA, and no carcass from that time exists for testing. What modern studies do show is that orca predation on white sharks happens, and that such attacks can leave traces consistent with warm, moving tag records. Knowing this, scientists view the Bremer Bay data with a different weight than they did before. Researchers have shown that where orcas hunt, white sharks often leave coastal waters or change their feeding patterns. That shifting of shark presence can alter local ecosystems and the way humans see risk at the beaches. Studies led by universities such as Flinders have tested bite swabs and published results to confirm orca involvement. Those confirmed cases help scientists to read old tag data with more context and guide future research efforts. But just as science began piecing the puzzle together, something strange happened outside the labs. A silence. Not from the ocean, but from the world's biggest search engine. Why would Google go quiet when asked who ate the great white? When Google went quiet. After the Bremer Bay tag story reappeared online, short videos and screenshots began to spread. In several posts, people showed what they said were marine biologists typing the tag data into a Google AI chat. The question on the screen read, "Who ate the great white?" They encountered a short answer and then a blank reply area or a spinning icon. The clip was cut at that second, and users termed it a shutdown. Screenshots and short clips moved across social apps and comment threads. People added captions and passed the pieces around. Journalists and researchers who saw the clips asked practical questions. Video can be trimmed or edited to hide an answer. A slow connection or a temporary server fault can freeze a reply. Large or detailed queries sometimes take longer for online models to process. Filters and content rules can also cause a bot to decline or pause on a reply. Tech writers recalled past examples where chat systems gave strange outputs or made clear mistakes. Those technical explanations did not stop the clip from shaping the conversation. The short footage put the Bremer Bay data back in front of new viewers. People searched for the tag record, the name David Riggs, and the Smithsonian short. Comment sections are filled with more theories and links to articles, videos, and lab data. The AI clip became a modern footnote to an older sea mystery, a short scene that pushed more attention toward a single tag and moved researchers, writers, and curious viewers to ask the same question again. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel to get our latest updates.